welcome back. Test and Tune Part 2 on my YZ250 two-stroke. Before I get to the track footage, I do want to start by saying there was 2 days at the track for this. The first was on Wednesday at Motor Bros in Punta Gorda, and the second was at MX74 on Saturday. Unfortunately, I lost all my GoPro footage of the Wednesday at Motor Bros Punta Gorda, which is a real bummer because I was riding really good that day. The track was sweet and did some pretty good tuning. But because I lost that footage, I'm just going to tell you what happened, and then we're going to get right to the second day at MX74, where I do have all the footage for that, the GoPro footage, the phone footage, and everything. So, sorry I lost that footage of the first day at Punta Gorda's Motor Bros, but at least I have the second day. Rough, sandy track. I wasn't riding my best, but it is what it is, and here we go. Here's the track footage. MX74, check this out. I got my little banner up here. It's pretty cool. But anyway, at MX74, gonna do some more tuning over here. We're gonna be doing some spring swapping today. So in the last GoPro footage you just saw where I was at Motor Bros in Punta Gorda, on the last ride you probably noticed I was making some clicker changes, and what I did is I started with the rear end. I tried taking a click of compression out, then a click of rebound out, meaning going counterclockwise, because what I'm noticing is as the forks break in, like I thought that would happen, they would start becoming a little bit softer, and that's what's happening. The springs are breaking in and stuff. I tried to compensate for that by softening the rear end a hair, but then the rear end kind of lost its magic. So I put the rear end back to where it was, which is still stock settings, and I tried the forks. I tried first adding a click on each fork leg compression, and it wasn't the type of extra firmness I was looking to match the rear. It just wasn't quite right. It's hard to explain, but it would still kind of dive low. It would slow the dive down, but it wasn't what I'm looking for. So then I went back to stock again, and then I only added one click on one fork leg and tried that basically right in the middle, and that was okay, but still wasn't what I was looking for. So today I have a set of factory connection springs, 0.48, and what I'll do is I'll take one of the 0.48s and put it in one fork leg, because I have a 0.46 in them right now, and that'll make an average of 0.47 right in the middle. I'm gonna try that out. But now I would have had that in ahead of time, but they showed up late last night and I couldn't resist it. Brought them to the track. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a couple laps the way it is right now and get familiar with that. Even though I know it's not quite right, as I'm gonna do a couple laps, come back in and swap in that one fork spring and check out the difference. So let me gear up. Let's go do a warm-up lap and a couple laps and feel how that feels. Okay, the warm-up ride is done. Surely enough, the fork springs do feel a little soft now that they've broken in. I added one click compression only on one fork, and that did improve it. And if I wasn't to change the springs, I'd just leave it there. That is kind of good enough, kind of acceptable, but I know I'm masking a problem, so I believe I am at least. So let's go ahead and swap out that fork spring and see what happens. By the way, the motor's running sweet out here. Finally got it to a track where I can use the top end. A lot of top end power. I'm not really riding that good today. I don't know what's up. I'll warm up a little bit and probably get better. It could be also I'm not really trusting the off balance the front end right now. It's not quite up to the task like the rear is, but let's see. Let's go swap that spring out real quick. Okay, got the 1.48 in, the single .48. One is a .48, one is a .46, average of .47. Let's go give it a shot. Yeah, check the top of the, wait, I might have left it at home.
I just bought a brand new thing of it, but it's at home.
Crap. I am not riding good today at all. Fork spring did good. That is pretty much it for the spring race up front. I still felt like the back could overpower the front sometimes, especially on the faces of jumps. It felt like the back end was still a hair bit more stout than the front, but I didn't think it needed any more spring up front. So what I did is I added one more click on one fork compression, and that was okay, you know, but then I kind of lost some smoothness in the front. So I went back, put that back to where it was, got the smoothness back, and said, okay, what do I do now? So I came and I lowered the sag just a hair more, but I did that and that balanced it. So it's balanced now. And balance is a good thing. Feels good. But I'm going to bring it just a click lower. Dustin just got done riding the bike. His bike, and I rode his bike's a little bit lower than mine on the rear end. Rides a little bit lower, and he thought mine was a hair bit tall. To me it feels good, but just based on what he said, I'm gonna bring it down just a hair bit more and just try it again and see. Otherwise, we're getting there. And if you never tuned in your bike before, or if you don't have a lot of experience, this is kind of how it goes sometimes. As you dial in one area, you'll think you have another area perfect, but then you'll have to go to that area and change things. Because if you ever tuned in a graphic equalizer on a stereo, it's much like that. Once you start turning up the bass a little bit, then the treble doesn't sound this loud, so then you got to turn the treble up a little bit, and now there's something funny in the middle, so you got to work in the mid-range. And that's how it is. All we're doing here is an equalizer. It's like a balancing act, you know. I'm going to kind of skip around the bike from area to area. There's still some things that I haven't touched yet, haven't tried fooling with yet. Fork oil height, I actually thought about adding some, but then I said, well, let me try lowering the rear end first. I'm actually glad I tried lowering the rear end first and not just rush into the fork oil and add more fork oil. So the only thing I haven't tried messing with yet, and I don't feel like I needed to yet, is the rebound on the forks and the high speed compression. But every other adjustment on this bike so far, I have at least tinkered with a little bit and felt how it's going to make changes on this bike as we're working it in, dialing it in. So I'm going to go back out there now, and I'm going to try lowering that rear end just a little bit more and just see what that does. This track's really rough. I'm worn out because of all this work, so I'm not riding fast. You know, I'm really just tuning, so I'm letting people go by me and just taking it easy and just kind of focusing on the bike. I don't feel like I'm riding very good today. I feel tired. And when I work on a bike like this at the track, it wears you out. You're doing this in between rides, but that's okay. I'll get this thing dialed in, and next time I take it out, it'll be ready for me, and I'll be fresh and ready to go. But anyway, let's go out there and do a ride. Okay, so here's where I am at. On the sag, you know these little lugs, or big lugs right here, little lugs? I'm 2 lugs, just 1 tooth, softer than what it was originally. So that's where I'm running the sag out. Basically, I lowered the rear end just a little bit, and I end up bringing the forks to exactly 5 millimeters. And I think that's gonna be about it. I mean, I already tested the sag out. That's how come I know that's good. But after doing all that, I thought, you know, let me just bring the forks back to 5 millimeters. And so yeah, let's go take it out for a ride. I got distracted by a million things. Yeah. Nope. Nothing. Nothing. I'm not kidding.
Did anyone even tell you?
No.
Oh my god.
And okay, back in the shop. It's Sunday. So yeah, 5 millimeters on the forks. That did good for, you know, that's for that track. That was really good. I think I'm just gonna leave it there for now. The sag, like I just showed you a couple minutes ago, I end up lowering it just a little bit. But now that I got it back here in the shop and all cleaned up, I went ahead and checked the static and the race sag. Remember, I've tuned this in by feel. I have not stuck a ruler on it yet, so I've checked it now, and with my riding gear on, it was right at 100 millimeter race sag with static sag at 38 millimeters. So that's where I ended up. That seems to be the sweet spot for this spring on this bike. The clickers and the high speed on the shock, I'm still finding the stock settings to be best. And same with the forks, I'm still finding the stock settings on the clickers to be best. Now I haven't fooled with the rebound down there yet. Two things I haven't fooled with on the bike is the rebound on the bottom, but it doesn't feel like I need any more or any less. It feels pretty right on. I might fool with that later on, but as right now it's feeling good. Same with the high speed over here. It doesn't feel like I need any more or any less. So but I might try just tinkering with it one day at the track. But as of right now, overall as a package, the bike is good. The high speed on the, again, I have a link in the description of my suspension series, which is long and winded, but if you're interested in that, the high speed is really good for acting like you have a stiffer spring or a softer spring. It's really good for tuning in that. It helps control bottoming, that kind of stuff. And now that I have two factory connection sets of springs, I have the .46s a set and a set of .48s. Well, I always have the opportunity to even add the other .48 in there and go all the way up to .48 if I want, or I can bring it down to .47, .46. I have a whole range I can go with, although I will say I have found in the past that the .47s match that 5.3 really good, and so here I am again at .47s with that rear spring. I used to have that spring in my 2018, and that's what I was running. I found .47s to be good, so here we are again. Now, a quick disclaimer, when I say that I have these at the stock settings, I did find, originally I found this fork at 8 clicks and that fork at 8 clicks, and the manual says that that's stock for this bike, right? But as time has gone on, this was at 8 clicks originally, but like almost 9. If it would have turned a little bit more, it would have hit 9. Well, now it seems to be hitting 9 when I bottomed out, and for whatever the case. So disclaimer, that one's at 8, this one's at 9, the bottom's at 14, stock still. The rear shock, the rebound, I have it at 6. The low speed, I have it at 8 clicks, which is what I found this bike to be at stock, even though the manual says 9, it was at 8, but that's where I have it as 8. And the high speed is at 1 1/16 of a turn stock. Like I just mentioned, the static sag is at 38 millimeters, race sag is right at 100 millimeters, and I'm running 5 millimeters on the forks, and that's measuring from the top of the tube right here, not the top of the cap, the top of the tube right here to the top of the fork triple clamp, the top clamp. So the suspension feels good, feels balanced. I'm gonna consider it done for the time being and just run it the way it is. Now it's time to start focusing on just riding the bike, and as little things kind of pop up, I can make little adjustments as they pop up and not focus on this tuning anymore so much. Just ride it, and when things pop up, you know, if I notice little things here or there, I'll address them as they come along. But otherwise, this is my starting package, and it's pretty good. The motor at MX74, that's a pretty outdoor track, a lot of high speed, deep sand, takes a lot of power. That motor rips out there. It's great top end pull. I can feel the bike literally just yank me forward as I hit the top end rush on it. The motor came out really good. I'm really impressed with it. It makes more top end horsepower and power than my 2018, and the only thing I can come up with, because everything's the same in the build as far as the motor is concerned, the only thing I can come up with is the redesigned airbox, and the CDI has a different part number for it, so it's a different CDI. I don't know what changes they made in it, but it would be interesting maybe one day to pop on the 2018 CDI. The 2018 CDI is the same from, I believe, 05 all the way to 2021. Would be interesting to pop it on and see what it does in this bike, but overall it makes really good top end power, smooth throttle control down in the mid and the bottom with a good amount of torque, and it came out, the motor's really strong and sharp, and I have no complaints about the motor. I wouldn't even know where to start right now if I wanted to try to improve on it. It's hitting all the marks of what I look for in a good YZ250 motor. It was interesting when I was at the track and I was changing a fork spring there. Of course, you get a lot of tension when you start ripping open suspension at the track. Then I was sitting there, I had a hammer and a punch on the side of the track, and I'd pull up and change my sag just a little bit. And I had one of my friends holler at me, "Hey, Chris, what are you doing now?" You know, I'm changing my sag. "You need a ruler for that." No, you don't. It's hard for people to understand that if you go by feel first, you're gonna find what you really like, and then you come back home, check it with the ruler and tape measure or whatever, and do your math, see if the spring's right for you. You know, check the static sag and the race sag and make sure that it's within the range. But if you set it by feel first, you're gonna find the sweet spot for that spring for you, and then you just take the numbers for reference reasons. I've been doing like that for years. People have said I was nuts, that you have to, you know, you got to put all your gear on, you got to hit that number 105 or 103, or it's got to be at 100. But here's the thing, even if you set it right at 100, right? Let's say you get it right at 100, that's what you're shooting for. You can take that spinner and spin it this much or that much, and it might not change your numbers on your race sag when you check it, but you're going to feel it going around the track, I promise you. And so that's why I like to tune it by feel, because that's really what matters to me. The small little changes even matter. Now, you know, I've been doing it like this for years, and recently I saw a podcast with Trey Kennard said they tried that with, this was like 2 years ago when they had Jet Lawrence on the team as well as Sexton, and he said he tried that with them. Instead of chasing the number 105, they decided to just tune it by feel for them one day, see what happens. And they found that Jed actually liked it at like 98 to 100, and Sexton liked it at like, I believe it was 100 to 102. And Trey Kennard said he was very surprised that they would like it that tall, the rear end, but that's where they preferred it. And he kind of said that I guess you just can't go by the number. You really do have to, you know, play with things a little bit and see what's best for you. And that's it right there, you know. Now I don't want to get too much on a rant of it, but I see people checking their sag at the track. You know, the bike doesn't feel right. Can you help me check my sag real quick? And they already have dirt on the bike. Well, that's going to change your numbers, what you get with when you check your race sag. Even dirt on the bike's going to change it. Is the shock hot and spring hot or cold? That's going to change it. You're not always going to sit on the same place of the bike. I know now there's a trend to just stand straight up and down on the bike, and I would agree. You're probably going to get more duplicate numbers that way, and it's going to be more accurate. But even then, it always changes, you know. I can check my sag today and was at 100. I might come out here tomorrow and recheck it, and it might be 101 or 99. It's just how it goes. But when you tune it by feel and you get that sweet spot, that's not going to change until maybe down the road as the spring gets more tired and fatigued or whatever. Then you might have to add a little bit more on preload to get it back to where it was at. But otherwise, that's not going to change that feeling. So when you set it by feel, you lock it in to what you like, and that's why I do it that way. And I will say it was kind of a bummer in the last ride I did for the day. I decided not to run the GoPro because I was like, well, I'm just going to go out there and ride the bike now. I'm not doing any more tuning and anything. And I wish I had the GoPro on for that ride. Me, Offney, and Giovanni got in a little battle on the track, and that was fun. I wish I got that on footage. That was the first time that I was able to actually just focus on going as fast as I could on the bike without actually focusing on tuning. And the bike did it. I didn't have to focus on the bike. I was able to focus on the ride. It worked great. It was a good fun ride. I wish I recorded that, but oh well, it is what it is. But so yeah, the bike's pretty much done. I'm just gonna ride it from this point on out for a little while and just get familiar with it. And like I said, I might make some small changes as I go along. Maybe some small corrections to the sag, fork height, clicker here or there. But for the most part, it's good. I can take it any track right now, run my race pace on it. It's good to go. The motor is sharp, good running, and down the road I will, like I said, I'm going to play with the head a little bit, try a slightly higher compression, slightly lower compression, play with the timing a little bit. I'm always doing, you know, jetting changes along the way as we do things. Stay tuned. Within about a week, I will be doing a full breakdown video on these power jets for these carburetors. I'm going to show you all how it works, how to test it, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to rip into the power jet. So I should have that video up in about a good week. But otherwise, this whole Up to Speed series for this YZ250 is pretty much completed. I hope you guys all had a great weekend of riding, and be sure to get a great weekend of riding next weekend if you can, or midweek ride. Catch you guys in the next video.